At 36, I finally qualified for the World Cup for the first time in my career. But the day before the tournament started, the head coach called me in. "Julian, you're not going." I stood there shocked. "Why? I'm the team captain." The coach pulled out his phone and played a video. On the screen, my wife, Britney, was sobbing in front of a crowd of reporters. "Julian is not only cheating on me, but he's also abusing me at home. A man like him doesn't deserve to represent our country in the World Cup." As she spoke, Britney flashed fake evidence of my infidelity to the cameras. She even pulled down her collar to reveal a nasty bruise on her shoulder. The video already had over 10 million views on TikTok. And I, busy with pre-match training, had been completely in the dark. I scrambled to explain. "She's lying. I was framed. This is my only chance to play in the World Cup, coach. You can't bench me now." The coach shook his head helplessly. "Unless you can prove your innocence, I can't take you with us. The entire internet is calling for your head right now." I rushed home to confront Britney. She just looked at me coldly and said, "If you don't drop out, Ronald won't get his chance to play. Just let him have this one, Julian." I never expected that the woman I had been married to for 7 years would crush my lifelong dream in such a brutal way. "Fine. If you want to play dirty, don't blame me for being ruthless." I went back to our house and started packing my things. I had been preparing for this World Cup for years. For a 36-year-old veteran, this was my absolute last dance. My study was packed with trophies I'd won over the years, but none of them could compare to the World Cup. Now my phone was blowing up. The comment sections on my Instagram were filled with hate. "How is this abuser still on the national team? Cheater and domestic abuser. Get out of professional sports. Ban him for life. Don't let this trash ruin the game." I shoved my cleats into my gym bag. Britney walked into the room and blocked the doorway. "Are you done? Move," I growled, looking at her through gritted teeth. Her eyes were still red from her media performance, but her voice was completely cold. "You can't leave right now. If you walk out that door, everyone will think you're guilty." I let out a harsh laugh. "So I should stay here and let you keep dragging my name through the mud?" Her face paled slightly. "I only got you suspended. I didn't ask you to die." "Only suspended?" I threw my phone onto the bed in front of her. "The entire internet is canceling me. My sponsors are dropping me, and the association is about to kick me off the team." "You make it sound so simple, Britney." She pressed her lips together. After a long silence, she muttered, "Once Ronald finishes the tournament, I'll clear your name. We'll just say it was a misunderstanding. You'll only be suspended for 6 months at most. Besides, even if you play, our team would get eliminated early anyway." "A misunderstanding? Then explain the hotel room keycard." She avoided my gaze. "I don't know." "What about the Snapchat chat history?" "I don't know about that either." I laughed coldly. "The girl's name is Hannah Miller. She's the president of Ronald's fan club. You personally gave her that keycard, and you generated those fake chat logs using AI." Britney snapped her head up. "So what? Who's going to believe you now?" He pointed a finger here. "Last night, I was at the facility preparing for the game. I slept in the locker room all night. I never went to that hotel." "Do you really think the training facility doesn't have security cameras?" Britney's face went completely blank. She lunged forward to grab my jacket pockets, but I grabbed her wrist. "What do you think you're doing?" She struggled, but she couldn't break my grip. Looking at her panic, it hit me. She didn't follow me here because she cared. She was terrified I had proof. Sure enough, she asked, "Are you bluffing? There's no way you have camera footage." I let go of her. "We've been married for 7 years. Do you hate me so much that you want to destroy my entire life?" She got anxious. "Julian, don't make me out to be the bad guy. I love you. It's just that Ronald really needs this World Cup. He's been waiting for this opportunity for 6 years. His career was almost ruined by that leg injury back then. He's been through enough." I looked at her, my heart turning to ice. "So I'm the one who has to suffer?" Her eyes welled with tears. "You already have so much. You're the captain. You've won trophies. You have big sponsors and millions of fans. Ronald only has this one shot." I laughed, a hollow sound. "So in your eyes, my innocence is just a stepping stone for Ronald's career?" She didn't answer. I threw my bag over my shoulder. She grabbed my arm. "You can't leave. Tell me, is the official team roster still with you?" I paused. So that was what she was really worried about. Ronald had failed his physical exam. He wasn't even qualified to be on the bench for the World Cup. As the team's operations manager, Britney had secretly altered his medical records. The final roster sheet was indeed in my bag, but I would never tell her that. "What roster? I don't know what you're talking about." She visibly relaxed. "Good. Julian, stop being stubborn. Just write a statement. Say you only had a private dinner with a fan, but nothing happened. Once Ronald finishes the tournament, I'll have Hannah delete her posts and make a video clearing your name. We can go back to how things were. I looked at her. We are done. As soon as the World Cup is over, we're getting a divorce. Britney's face darkened. Do you have to be this dramatic? 7 years of marriage, and you want a divorce over this? I snatched my jersey back from her hands. I'm not the one who destroyed this family. You did. I walked toward the door. She screamed behind me, Julian, if you walk out that door today, don't you dare come crawling back to me. I stopped for a second. Don't worry. Even if you beg me on your knees, I will never look back. The next morning, the Soccer Association held an emergency hearing. The hallway outside the conference room was packed with reporters. Dozens of live streamers pointed their phones at my face. The moment I walked into the room, my teammates quickly looked down, avoiding eye contact. Only Ronald sat near the bench, wearing my number 10 training jersey. He smirked at me. His face was filled with smug satisfaction. Director Thomas pushed a stack of documents across the table. Julian, your wife and a fan named Hannah Miller have accused you of using signed jerseys to lure her to a hotel room. She provided the room key card, chat screenshots, and photos of you in the hallway. Do you admit to this? No. Hannah, tell us what happened, Director Thomas said. Hannah stood up, her eyes red and puffy. She was wearing an Apex FC jersey and clutching a tissue. That night, Julian DM'd me on Snapchat, saying he would give me a signed jersey. Once I got to the room, he forced me to drink. Then, he locked the door. He wouldn't let me leave. The room erupted into whispers. I looked at her. Which night? Hannah sniffled. The 13th. On the 13th, I was training alone at the facility. I didn't go anywhere that night. I slept in the facility's lounge. You can check the security cameras. Plus, I have a witness. I gestured, and one of the facility's night shift janitors walked in. Everyone gasped. Britney's face froze. Hannah panicked. She instinctively looked over at Ronald. Ronald cleared his throat loudly, and Britney immediately stood up. It wasn't the 13th. Hannah is too nervous. She got the date wrong. It was the 12th. Hannah nodded quickly. Yes, the 12th. I got confused. I smiled. On the night of the 12th, the team had a closed-door training session. The security log at the gate shows I didn't leave until 10:30 p.m. Director Thomas's expression grew heavier by the second. Just then Mateo Alvarez, our backup forward, stood up. Julian always gets too close to female fans anyway. I looked at him. Did you see it with your own eyes, Mateo? Mateo stammered. I heard it from others. Another player chimed in. He always brings girls into the VIP lounge. I asked back, which game? He couldn't answer. The room grew louder with arguments. Suddenly, Britney stood up, slamming her hands on the table. Julian, how long are you going to keep lying? I looked at her. Tears streamed down her face. I've been married to him for 7 years. I know exactly what kind of monster he is. He has a terrible temper at home. Whenever he loses a game, he smashes things. He hits me. He abuses me. Sometimes he even brings random women home and forces me to ignore it. The room exploded. That's disgusting. How is this guy still the captain? No wonder the fan came forward. I stood up abruptly. Britney. 2 security guards immediately stepped in, blocking me. Watch it. Are you trying to threaten a witness in front of us? Britney took a step back, crying even harder. See, this is how he always acts. At that moment, the way everyone looked at me changed. It wasn't suspicion anymore. It was pure disgust. The association announced my immediate suspension. My captaincy was stripped, and my name was removed from the World Cup roster. The case was handed over to the disciplinary committee, with the police to be involved if necessary. As I walked out of the conference room, Britney ran after me. She was holding my old knee brace in her hands. Your old injury hasn't fully healed yet. Don't forget to wear this. I looked at the brace. It was incredibly ironic. You just painted me as a domestic abuser and a predator, and now you're worried about my knee? She frowned. Julian, don't be so ungrateful. I did this for the team. Ronald promised me that after the World Cup, he will speak up to clear your name. I stared at her. Do you have any idea that if the disciplinary committee rules against me, my career is over? I will never play professional soccer again. She lowered her voice. Without solid evidence, they'll suspend you for a year at most. You're a man, Julian. Can't you just take one for the team? If Ronald misses this World Cup, his life is over. I didn't say a word. Her voice softened again. Just listen to me. Write an apology letter. Just say you had some inappropriate DMs with a fan and caused a misunderstanding. Give the association an easy way out, and they won't dig any deeper. I looked at her coldly. I didn't do it. I won't write a single word. Britney's face soured. Julian, do you really have to push Ronald to the edge? Did I force him to fail his physical exam? She was left speechless. I turned and walked away. She hissed behind me. Julian, you're playing with fire. That night, things took an unexpected turn. Matteo came to see me. He was waiting at the back gate of the training facility, his hoodie pulled low, clutching a crumpled piece of paper. Julian, I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. He handed me the paper. It was a petition. Julian's training methods are abusive. He hoards the starting position and refuses to give younger players a chance. There were over a dozen signatures and fingerprints at the bottom. Matteo's voice was shaking. This is what Britney made us sign. She told us it was just a complaint to the association about your strict leadership. She promised that once Ronald took over, we'd get more playing time. I had no idea she was going to turn it into a sexual assault accusation. I took the paper. Who changed the complaint? Matteo looked down. Ronald did. He was the one who brought Hannah in. She's not your fan. She's the head of Ronald's fan club. The hotel room was booked by Ronald's personal assistant. I looked at him. Why are you telling me this now? Matteo's eyes turned red. I wanted to play, but I didn't want to destroy your life. Julian, I asked the nurses at the hospital about yesterday. They confirmed you were there all night taking care of Britney's mom. The next morning, I took the original petition, the hospital receipts, and the unaltered physical exam report straight to the association's disciplinary committee. Before I could enter the building, Britney blocked my way. When she saw the envelope in my hand, her face went pale. Matteo talked to you? Get out of my way. She grabbed my arm tightly. Just give Ronald one day. Just one day. Once the first match is over, I'll make Hannah take down the posts. I'll clear your name myself. I looked at her. Then clear it right now. Tears streamed down her face. I can't do it now. If I do, Ronald won't be allowed on the pitch. And my signature is on the roster change form. I was the one who submitted the forged physical exam. If this blows up, I'm ruined too. Finally, she told the truth. She wanted to protect Ronald, and she wanted to protect herself. As for me, I was never even a consideration. I pried her fingers off my arm. There's a follow-up hearing this afternoon. If you tell the truth in front of everyone, I will tell the committee that you were manipulated by Ronald. This is your last chance. Britney cried for a long time, but finally she nodded. Okay. That afternoon, the committee reconvened. Matteo openly admitted that the petition they signed had nothing to do with sexual misconduct. 5 other backup players also retracted their statements. They admitted the original complaint was just about training disputes. None of them had ever seen the keycard or the chat logs. Director Thomas's face grew darker. Finally, he turned to Britney. Britney, you are the team's operations manager. Who actually drafted this accusation? Britney sat there, her face completely pale. I waited for her to speak. Suddenly, the door was pushed open and Ronald walked in. He was wearing my number 10 jersey with the captain's armband pinned to his chest. Don't worry, Britney. I'm here. Nobody can bully you. Britney's eyes filled with panic. Director Thomas demanded. Britney, what is the truth? She looked at Ronald, then at me, and finally lowered her head. The accusation is real. Matteo and the others changed their stories because Julian threatened them last night. I froze. She continued. He came to see me last night too. He said if I didn't drop the charges, he would destroy both me and Ronald. Outside the door, 2 officers from the disciplinary committee walked in. Britney refused to look me in the eye. I stand by my statement. Julian is guilty of abuse, sexual misconduct, and threatening his teammates. My playing license was confiscated on the spot. As I walked past her, I whispered only one thing. Britney, that was the last chance I will ever give you. And you threw it away. She whispered back, her voice barely audible. I had no choice. You shouldn't have stood in Ronald's way. At that moment, I completely gave up on her. In the interrogation room, the investigator asked me, Julian, do you have anything else to say? I pushed the envelope across the table. Inside were the hospital's security camera request forms, the original petition, the hotel's actual booking records, and Ronald's failed physical exam report. I am officially reporting Ronald Cole for fabricating evidence and framing me. And I am reporting Britney Vance for forging physical exam results and illegally changing the World Cup roster. I turned my eyes to the TV screen on the wall. The massive stadium was packed with screaming fans. Ronald, wearing my number 10 jersey, was standing in the player tunnel, waving to the cameras. Up in the VIP seats, Britney was waving excitedly. The TV announcer yelled, Apex FC's number 10, Ronald Cole, is about to play the most important match of his career. But just as the announcer finished his sentence, the stadium's PA system crackled to life. Player number 10, Ronald Cole, is temporarily suspended from today's match. Please report to the disciplinary room immediately. The stadium did not empty, it froze. The 70,000-seat arena, usually a roaring cauldron of red and white, fell into a dense, suffocating silence. On the giant electronic screens above, The pitch, the live broadcast of the player tunnel showed Ronald Cole standing, with his hands still raised to the cameras. His face, which had been filled with that familiar, smug satisfaction only seconds ago, went completely pale. Mr. Cole, the head of the stadium's security detail, a retired police captain named Miller, said, his voice flat but carrying the unyielding force of a hammer blow. You need to step off the pitch. Now. What is this? Ronald stammered, his fingers tightening around the captain's armband pinned to his chest. There's been a mistake. The match starts in 5 minutes. I'm the starting number 10. The disciplinary committee has issued an immediate suspension, Miller said, not even looking at him as he signaled to 2 officers waiting by the concrete steps of the tunnel. Please cooperate, or we will be forced to remove you in handcuffs in front of the television cameras. Up in the VIP seats, Britney's hand, which had been waving a small red flag, went entirely cold. Her fingers stiffened, the flag slipping from her hand and falling onto the concrete stairs below. Elijah, she whispered, her voice barely a breath. The roster. He had the papers. Beside her, Ronald's personal assistant, a young man named Luke who had been tasked with deleting the hotel's digital booking logs, was staring at his own tablet. The screen displayed a red alert from the local police department's cybercrime division. Warrant for data seizure issued. LA regional servers for Hannah Miller have been isolated. It's over, Luke whispered, his face turning a sickly paper gray color under the bright stadium lights. The logs. They recovered the deleted Snapchat files. They know the IP address belonged to my home router. The air in the stadium's private disciplinary suite was thin, smelling of floor polish, cold sweat, and the sharp, chemical sting of liniment from the player changing rooms next door. I sat at the wooden table, my hands resting in my lap, my eyes fixed on the black number 10 jersey draped over the back of an empty chair. I had taken off my boots, my ankles still wrapped in the white athletic tape that had been meant for the pitch. The door opened and Director Thomas walked in, followed by 2 investigators from the municipal police department. Julian, Thomas said, his voice carrying a heavy, dry authority. The forensic team has completed their preliminary audit of the medical database. The physical exam reports for Ronald Cole were indeed modified from a terminal inside the operations manager's office at 11:40 p.m. last Tuesday. He laid a folder flat on the table in front of me. The digital signature belonged to Britney Vance, Thomas said. And the hotel's registration desk has provided the security footage from the night of the 12th. It shows Ronald's assistant, Luke, checking in under a fake name, carrying the same signed jersey that was later found in Hannah Miller's apartment. I looked at the documents, then at the black jersey. Where is she? I asked, my voice flat, devoid of the shaking anger that had characterized our fight in the kitchen. She's in the custody room downstairs, Thomas said. She's being questioned as an accessory to forgery and defamation. Under state laws, she's facing up to 5 years in the state penitentiary. Her contract with the club has been terminated, effective immediately. And Ronald is in the adjacent office, Thomas said. He's already signed a statement claiming he was completely unaware of the medical forgery. He's trying to shift the entire blame onto Britney, claiming she was the one who pressured him to play because of his past knee injury. I let out a low, quiet laugh. He always was a coward, I murmured. He never did have the stomach to carry the weight of his own choices. The door to the room opened again, and my attorney Robert stepped in carrying a leather folder. Julian, Robert said, the association has officially cleared your name. The suspension has been rescinded, and they've issued a public apology to the press. But the first match has already started. Mateo is on the pitch. You've missed your chance to play. I looked at the wall clock. 6:15 p.m. The match was in the 20th minute. Through the heavy plaster walls of the suite, I could hear the faint, muffled roar of the crowd, not the wail of a scandal, but the simple, continuous white noise of a game being played without me. My dream of playing in the World Cup at 36 was dead. It had been killed, not by an injury, or by a loss of form, but by the pen of the woman I had spent 7 years of my life trying to protect. It's okay, Robert, I said, my fingers slowly tracing the smooth white plastic of my old knee brace. The game will go on. It always does. The townhouse on the hill was dark when I returned on Friday morning. The autumn mist was clinging to the floor-to-ceiling glass windows of the living room, turning the city lights below into blurry, gold-red smears on the wet glass. The ivory wool rugs, which she had personally selected because she knew I liked to walk barefoot in the winter, felt cold and sterile under my shoes. Julian. The voice came from the doorway of the study. Britney was standing there, wearing a simple gray coat, her hair unwashed and wild, her face pale as paper. She had been released on bail 3 hours ago. Her bail paid entirely by her mother's personal savings because her own bank accounts had been frozen by the court. The lawyers finalized the asset separation this morning, Julian, she said, her voice dropping into a dry, rattling whisper. The Gray Group has taken over the townhouse. The investments, they've been liquidated to pay the first phase of your civil suit. I have 30 days to clear my things. I know, I said, keeping my hands in my pockets, my eyes resting on the empty trophy case in the corner of the room. Why? She sobbed, her composure completely shattering as she took a clumsy step toward me. Her hands reached out to grab my coat sleeve, but I gently, deliberately, stepped back. We were together for 7 years, Julian. You've won trophies. You've had big sponsors. How could you just destroy my entire life over this? For a game? For a tournament? It wasn't a game, Britney, I said, my voice as quiet as the winter wind through the concrete yard. It was my life. The only thing I had left to climb. And you didn't throw me off the mountain because you loved Ronald. You did it because you wanted to prove you had the power to make me crawl. I turned on my heel, walked out of the room, and let the heavy door slam shut behind me, leaving her alone in the grand, empty hall. The state prosecutor's office did not waste time on a public trial. By the end of the month, the Harley Group scandal had been resolved through a series of plea agreements that turned the golden couple of LA sports into a cautionary tale. Ronald Cole was sentenced to 18 months of community labor and a permanent lifetime ban from professional sports. His sponsors dropped him within 48 hours of his suspension, and his father's logistics firm was forced into involuntary bankruptcy after the regional board found evidence of financial fraud in his contract bids. And Britney? She was currently serving her second year of a 3-year sentence in a state-run correction facility, her name permanently removed from the association's registry, her career as an operations manager completely finished. I sat in my new office downtown, a cup of hot chamomile tea in my hand, reviewing the final draft of my new contract. I was no longer the captain of Apex FC. I was 36, my knee was shot, and my playing days were officially over. But I wasn't off the pitch. The association had offered me the position of head coach for the regional academy program. The contract was long-term, fully funded, and gave me direct authority over the state's youth development league. Julian, a voice said from the doorway. It was Mateo. He was wearing his training kit, his hair wet from the rain, looking taller and more confident than he had during the dark days of the hearing. The boys are ready on the pitch, Mateo said, a warm, genuine smile breaking through his professional mask. The first-round draft selections are waiting for their new coach. I stood up, took a sip of my warm tea, and let the clean, cold wind off the field carry the last dry leaves of the past away into the endlessly beautiful horizon ahead. Let's go, Mateo, I said. We have a lot of work to do.